Hi, Spec here. And yes, I know it's just me again, but today is not going to be a usual gaming video or anything. Instead, this is going to be a speed draw, voiced over with my recap of Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 1. Full spoilers. So, for those of you unfamiliar, Ninjago is a show produced by LEGO that's been going on since 2011, focused on Kai, Jay, Zane, Cole, Master Wu, later Lloyd, and even later Nia. Basically ninjas with superpowers. That's pretty much the concept of the entire show. And they can use Spinjitzu, a fighting technique where they can create mini tornadoes. This franchise has 14 years worth of lore and storylines, and I might eventually make more videos on it, because I've been following it this whole time. I strongly recommend watching all of it, or at the very least, Dragons Rising Seasons 1 and 2, before watching this video. The reason I say that you can start with Dragons Rising Seasons 1 and 2 for this video is because it's sort of a soft reboot. You don't really need to know a lot about the rest of the franchise to get into it. So first, a recap of Dragons Rising as a whole. It starts with the Merge, which is this giant catastrophic storm that merged 16 or 17 realms together into one. People everywhere have been scattered all across the lands. Years after the merge, we're introduced to Eren and Sora, a wannabe ninja who is somewhat able to use Spinjitzu on his own, and what seems to be a new elemental master of technology. Don't question how technology is an element, just roll with it. They meet up with Lloyd, the green ninja, and start training under him. Turns out, Master Wu is missing or dead, and the rest of the ninja are all across the Merge Lands. They slowly start reintroducing them, though it takes a while. In the meantime, we're also introduced to Wildfire, Master of Heat. We also meet Lord Raz, who is a tiger man who worked with a kingdom called Imperium to imprison a source dragon, which is basically a god. Source dragons, much like how the name sounds, are the source of all things in Ninjago. Next thing we need to know is that 3 dragon cores were used to stabilize the after effects of the merge, called merge quakes. Also in Season 1, Lloyd becomes a conduit for the Source Dragons. If I remember correctly, the Source Dragon of Energy. Finally, for Season 1, Sora finds her true potential and is now able to use her tech power at will. Alright, Season 2. We're introduced to the Blood Moon. We find out that Raz does not serve Imperium directly, but instead serves a different master, and he wants to free the Forbidden Five. We're also introduced to Shatterspin, this twisted, evil version of Spinjitzu, I guess. Another thing to note is that Shatterspin actually shatters all the goodness inside of you. To counter Shatterspin, the ninja seek out some Dragon Masters, who teach them in the ways of the Rising Dragon technique, which is focused on motion rather than strength like Shatterspin is. Bonzel, a friend of Cole the Earth Ninja, actually turns out to be a spell who can set free the Forbidden Five. During the Blood Moon ritual, Eren and Raz start fighting, and it mirrors a scene in Season 1 where Raz just wails on this man. He even goes to tell him that he's not gotten any better since they last fought, which plants the seed of doubt within Eren. This is going to be important. Also during the Blood Moon ritual, Kai and Bonzel are trapped in the Nether space, where the Forbidden Five are also imprisoned. One of them, Noct, and possibly a spirit, both manage to escape Nether space. To quickly explain who the Forbidden Five are, they're basically big evil warriors who used to wreak havoc across the wildness, one of the 16 realms. Now this is where Season 2 takes a turn. We find that one of the Source Dragons is dead and the others are possibly in danger. We find this out from the Source Dragon of Motion, who personally visits Lloyd to recruit him to figure out who's been taking out the Matriarch Dragons. The Source Dragon of Motion also requests that Lloyd and his team go to the Tournament of the Sources, a big tournament where all of the Elemental Masters are invited to fight It's more of a ceremonial tournament than out of any ill will, but nonetheless, we're introduced to the City of Temples. We're introduced to Roby, the leader of the City of Temples, and we also meet Frak, who is Aaron's childhood friend and a student of Roz. Partway through the tournament, we learn that Jay, one of the original ninja, has also turned to Roz's side after having lost his memory. We also learn that he can also use Shatter Spin. That's right, he's evil. After losing to Nia in the tournament, he goes missing. He disappears. Next plot point we need to discuss: Arc Dragons. These are extremely powerful dragons among their species. Different tribes have different matriarchs. Next point, the Shattered Sword. In the tournament, a fighter known as Zeatrix puts Lloyd into an almost coma with one of the swords provided by the tournament. This sword will be important later. Next, we learn that Master Wu caused the merge. That's right, the big catastrophic storm. He caused it. Learning this causes Aaron to lose faith in the ninja, and he wants to reverse the merge with Roz. Later, Noct of the Forbidden Five steals all of the elements and opens the portal to Nether Space, which brings Kai back along with Bonzel, and it turns out that his sister Noct's sister Rox possessed someone, and she can finally return to her body, which is being sent over from Nether Space. Okay, I've been yapping. Forbidden Five return, all the powers go back to their owners, and Aaron, Roz, and the Five disappear, and Roz is injured. We also learn about dragon icons. Alright, onto the recap. So Dragon's Rising Season 3, Part 1, has a couple different storylines going on. First is the search for Aaron, Jay, and Pixel. Second is the Forbidden Five freeing Thunderfang story, and then there's also the Aaron and Roz thing. Episode 1, The Missing. We're introduced to this giant dragon called Thunderfang. He's basically the dragon equivalent of the Omega from Season 10 of Ninjago, where basically a war hero of the dragons. He is fueled by the souls of the Oni, and he was captured and locked away by the Arc Dragon of Focus. The next scene shows Sora doing a pie run like Aaron used to do, and we get the return of the goat Fuji Dove, and we learn that Sora cannot bake. After this, we go on to the search for Jay, where we get a flashback of him and Nia. After that, we cut to Lloyd and Cole, where Cole leaves for the Land of Lost Things. We relearn that Wu caused the merge, and we get a call back to Cole being a ghost at one time, since he saw Wu's spirit and said, "I know what a ghost looks like." We also learn that Frak has joined our team, but he still has Roz's teachings set in. Things like channeling your hate and your anger and stuff, which is not how they do the things here. Frak and Sora also interact a lot throughout the season, possibly a rivalry, considering one is Aaron's childhood best friend, and the other was Aaron's post-merge best friend. Put to the Nia, Kai, and Wildfire storyline, searching for Jay. They come across what they think is Jay, but it's actually just the lightning equivalent of the lava tides, the lightning tides. Cutting back to Sora, she still can't bake. Frak believes Intelligent George, and has heard of a puppet like FNAF. Zane comes in and says he's looking for the smartest and most attractive member of their team. And then Frak says, "But Sora's right here." Frak, you got something you want to say, buddy? Alright, the Lightning Tides go to court because Kai and Nia ruined their little ceremony. Now, I do not like the Tides race. I don't know why. I just have this, maybe it's just because they're kind of stupid, but like not in a funny way, like Fuji Dove, but to each their own. Kai breaks out, and we learn that the lightning tides have Vengestone. Somehow, they call them glow rocks. Back to the search for Aaron. Xanth, the dragon, finds a giant puppet. Frak is afraid of puppets. Sora's power can't affect it, which means it's not running on technology, but rather some sort of magic. Frak rips out the prismatic blade, which is the power source for the puppet, and the puppet it stops working. Aaron's grapple was also in the puppet, and they find some sort of tracks. Back to the lightning tides. They're just so dumb. Something about 3,000 zaps is equal to 2,000 zaps. And Nia actually uses Talk No Jutsu to make them let her free, but Kai and Wildfire are still imprisoned. Nia decides to set them free and he breaks them out and trays the lightning tides as she should. And they set up a wanted poster for the three, possibly a future plot point. At the end of the episode, we're formally introduced to the Forbidden Five. Zark destroys a truck with his misfortune power, I'm guessing. Turd decays the drivers, but specifically does not kill them to send a message. Drix sends some bugs after them, and Rox is the one calling the shots. They're headed for the First Land, which used to be the First Realm, to unchain Thunderfang. Alright, episode 2, The Ultimate Object of Admiration. We start off by being reintroduced to Aaron. He's back, gets food from a kind family, and the kid gives him a Lloyd doll, a reminder of his former teacher. We learn that he's been taking care of Roz after he was injured by the Forbidden Five at the end of season 2. I wouldn't say spoon feeds him, but he chopstick feeds Roz, saying, "Here comes the bounty." And Roz is still injured, and he's teaching Aaron from afar. And Aaron is focusing on his anger at Wu to give him strength, which is actually kind of working. Roz's teachings have been the only thing that let Aaron achieve true spinjitzu. Meanwhile, the Aaron search team goes into a cave while Zane and Xanth go their own separate way. And let me just interject for a second. Zane still does not feel like a character. Something I've noticed throughout the season is that with Nindroids in particular, they just need to know when to stop talking. Like, the jokes need to know when to end. Like, he says, "Careful is my middle name," if Nindroid naming conventions allowed for that, which they do not. Like, there are two separate points in that when they could have ended, but they just didn't, and made Zane kind of just boring to listen to, I guess. I'm not really sure. Don't like it though. Sora's poor choice of words of "see you on the other side" brings into question the existence of the departed realm, which we'll get to later. Frack is a little too eager and confident while leading Team Aaron Search through the cave. Sora's a little annoyed at this, but Frack still helps her with her claustrophobia. However, he also causes a cave-in, which leads them to fall off the side of a mountain, and Lloyd is knocked out. On the J-Search side of things, Kai and Wildfire are bonding. Roby sends messages through a little dragon to Wildfire. They mention selfies, and Nia's still worried. Back with Team Lloyd, he wakes up in a town with Dragonians. He meets Tyr, the leader of the Dragonians. And I'm assuming that Dragonians and Devonians are somehow related. If you'll remember, Devonians were introduced in Season 2. One of the competitors was Devonian. They're possibly both from the First Realm. Dragonians are definitely from the First Realm, as revealed in this episode. And they mentioned the Oni. They actually mentioned the Oni. Sora questions why they were at war with the dragons. And we may get some more information about the Oni in Dragon's Rising, which I am looking forward to, because I love the Oni, and they were done dirty in Season 10. Some Dragonians saw Aaron, but they think that a Cyclops killed him. The Team Lloyd goes to search for him, and we spot Rogue. Rogue is in the background. If you do not know who Rogue is, he is a bounty hunter who we will get into later. Team Lloyd has to fight the ultimate Cyclops and the ultimate object of admiration and whatever his name is. And for some reason, Spinjitzu in the First Lands has a ring around it of some sort. I'm hoping that gets explained, because the First Realm is where the first Spinjitzu Master came from. And the first Spinjitzu Master invented Spinjitzu, so maybe there will be something special about the First Realm in Season 3, Part 2. We will see. We get more examples of Frack kind of being a himbo. He doesn't really understand depth perception. He thinks that if they just stay still, the Cyclops cannot see them. That did not work. But Sora outsmarts the Cyclops anyway. After he's defeated, Rogue swoops in and steals some kind of cup from a treasure chest. we get the term serpentsplain, and Frack apologizes for being so eager, let's put it, and explains how he has been trying to prove himself as more than just Roz's former student. And we get, at the end of the episode, Aaron dragging Roz to the Spectral Land with a sled. This is what the tracks were last time. Alright, episode 3, the Spectral Lands. We get more scenes of Aaron training. We get some flashbacks to before the merge and during the events of season 1. And we see him have some doubts. And we also find out that Roz's people died, which I'm not sure if he means that they died during the merge or if they're just endangered because of the Forbidden Five long ago, as shown by a flashback in season 2. And we learn that the spectral lands are for the non-living. We'll get back to that. Also in this episode, there is an arcade side story with not much to it, so I might just explain the bulk of it right here. Nia's asking random people on the street if they've seen Jay. Kai gets an idea to go into an arcade, which has a game that Jay grew up with. His plan is to lure Jay there by beating his high score or something. We get another flashback with Nia and Jay. We get another Fugidove cameo, and somehow Jay can play the arcade game remotely as he takes back his high score moments after Kai had already won. Alright, back to the interesting part. It turns out that Roz, in order to heal properly, needs healing elixir from the Well of the Lost in the Spectral Lands. He also provides him a returning blade made of prismatic steel, much like the one that came out of the puppet with Team Lloyd. Now, just to interject here, these are called prismatic blades. And my question here is, do all of them return? Because we see that with Aaron at least, when he throws it, it comes back. That's why it's a returning blade. But do all of them do that? Or is it just that particular blade? Who knows? We also get to see the return of Moro. Yes, we finally get to see Moro after eons. Him and Aaron team up to fight these soul suckers, which are spirits that cannot be seen by people. They can only be seen either by other spirits or through prismatic steel. So Aaron has to constantly look through his blade to see these things. We get a mention about how Moro was once a ninja. We get confirmation that the spectral lands are both the departed realm and the cursed realm. The departed realm is basically where the dead souls went before the merge, and cursed realm is basically the departed realm but for cursed souls, like Moro or Master Chen, that kind of thing. Now they're fused together and integrated into the spectral lands. Moro and the Soulsuckers are the only things in the spectral lands. This is because the departed souls still move on from the merge lands. It's not like they just inhabit the spectral lands. They move on, and we don't know to where. Whether it's to a new afterlife realm, maybe in the empty space where nether space is, maybe, or maybe they are reborn. We don't get confirmation on this. Now, if he wanted to, Moro could move on, but he chooses not to protect the souls that come through there from the soul suckers. Now, the healing elixir from the Well of the Lost actually is what helps souls move on to whatever they move on to. We also hear about how Moro regrets his betrayal, and Aaron learns that he was the student of Master Wu. And Aaron trickshots his spinjitzu throw with the returning blade after the soul suckers are gone. Moro reveals to us that Master Wu actually isn't dead, because if he were, he would have shown up in the spectral lands and he would have seen him, which means that we could possibly see him in the flesh again. We then cut back to the Dragonians and the first lands, where the Forbidden Five find Thunderfang and attack the Dragonians. Thunderfang offers to give the Forbidden Five more of his power if they free him, which is interesting because what does he mean by more of his power? Is he the source of Shatterspin? Kind of like how the source dragons are the source of elemental powers. He also mentions how he planned all of this. How there are specifically 5 members of the Forbidden Five. There's 5 chains that bind him, and there are 5 blades that can free him. So how much of this was planned? And who was it planned by? Was it Thunderfang? Was it the Archdragon of Focus, maybe? He gives the Forbidden Five a big red gem, which knocked splits, and it somehow corrupts the Dragonians. So now they're on their side. And somehow the Forbidden Five can fly. I don't know how. Ryu, the little dragon, senses that something is amiss. Episode 4, The Great Zane Robbery. We start off with a scene where Sora misses Eren, and Frack questions whether or not Zane can have emotions. Which, I mean, he has emotions, but he's kind of right in meta, because the writers do not know what to do with Zane. Speaking of Zane, we go back to him and Xanth when they split off from Team Lloyd. Xanth dances with a bird like Zane did in Season 1, which is a nice callback, and he even references this. He says, "Do not dance with birds. I once did such things," which I appreciate the callback. It's something at least. On the way, they find another monastery, much like the other ones that have also shown up in the Merge Lands. It seems that one for every realm. He finds Rapton stealing stuff and confronts them. They get on a train. He gets on it, and he actually finds Pixel in a cocoon, just like he was in the Monastery of Imperium, which introduces another mystery. Well, it doesn't really introduce, but brings to light another mystery, which is why were Zane and Pixel both in cocoons, both in separate realm monasteries? We cut away from Zane for a little bit, and we see our shady Serpentine friend from Season 2, and we find out that he actually hired Rogue to get an Oni chalice for him, which is what he stole last episode. And he passes on another job opportunity for Rogue, which is a few days away. Back to Zane. Pixel does not remember her time in the cocoon, much like Zane didn't. It seems that the cocoons shut down the Nindroids for some reason. Maybe the administration got to them. I don't know. Zane does impressions to introduce Pixel to the newer members, which is a little goofy and sappy, but something about it just feels hollow. If you haven't noticed, I am disappointed with Zane in recent years. I'll just go ahead and say, this was supposed to be his season, man. And maybe he gets something more in part 2, but at this point I'm not holding my breath on it. All of a sudden, Noct steps in and wants to find one of the blades. There's a fight scene, and Noct shatter spins Pixel and sets the train to crash. He finds the blade and flies off with it. Zane connects himself to the train and to act as its brake, but gets overloaded in the meantime. After the Noct crash, we see Zane, I guess, robot faint, and we get the background music of Built to Protect, the same one that happens every time Zane gets a fake out death. Like, it was really impactful in Season 3, and then we get another one in Season 8. Why is it always Zane that gets the fake out deaths, man? I get he's an android, but I don't know. Have Kai survive an explosion or something, I don't know. At the end of the episode, we find out that Rox finds another blade. Alright, we got episode 5. I Alone Can Save Them. The episode starts off with Thunderfang and Rox, with 2 chains being broken and 3 left. Rox assures him that the other 3 are being hunted down as they speak. We cut to the City of Temples, and Roby's little dragon actually gets a name. It's Hermes, fitting for a messenger dragon. Her, the mummy-looking member of the Forbidden Five, comes in and storms the City of Temples. And turns out, remember that shattered blade that Zeatrix hit Lloyd over the head with? Yeah, that turns out to be one of the prismatic blades. We also find out that Kura's a girl after so much debate leading up to this season. I mean, it was very confusing for a while with Doc Wyatt calling her a him, questions about mistranslation and stuff. So now we get confirmation Kura's a girl. More importantly, she decays Roby. She withers him and his dragon. They are dying. We cut to Roz and Aaron in the desert, and they find a jet which Roz has stored away for such an occasion. And it turns out that Sora actually taught Aaron how to operate such vehicles. Cut to Team Lloyd. They find the spectral lands, but decide not to enter. And they follow Ryu, who has been trying to lead them somewhere. Cut to Pixel. She makes Rapton's crew help her fix Zane. Cut to Wildfire, finding out that Roby was attacked. Roz and Aaron again, where Roz convinces Aaron to prioritize his mission over helping innocents. And this is the first time we actually see the effects of Roz's teachings on Aaron, when he actually doesn't stop to help people in need. Cut to Team Lloyd, and Frack has an attitude about following Ryu, and they come across Zarkt and the Dragonians. Cut to Team Nia, and they take a gateway to the City of Temples. Back to Team Lloyd, they actually confront Zarkt and start fighting him, along with the Dragonians. And, little nitpick, what do Zark's powers do? It's labeled as misfortune, but what does that actually entail? Does it make you slip on banana peels? Does it make you forget your keys? Does it make you stub your toe a lot? What is the... It sounds so cool on paper, but we just do not learn anything about it. Out of nowhere, Pixel joins the fight, and we get a little reunion scene. And the one good thing about Zane, Big Zane, he gets a new big form, which I guess is from Pixel fixing him after the train situation. And I'm also gonna have to complain about Pixel's dialogue because it just feels robotic. I know she's an android, but it's a similar problem with Zane, where it could just be remedied by just knowing where to end the sentence. Alright, back on track. Zark retreats and gets mocked by Sora. And I just gotta say, they did my boy dirty. Okay, they mistreated Zark. I mean, he looks, at least in my opinion, he looks the coolest out of the Forbidden Five. But he just does nothing in this entire 10 episode run. Like, he blows up a truck and that's it. And Rox agrees with me, she is pissed. And Kerr brings back the broken blade shards. And Rox dismisses it, saying, oh yeah, I can... That'll just need some wish magic. Which means we're probably getting more Aracore. Cut to the final scene, and Roz and Aaron land. They find a graveyard. Turns out, his parents are dead. He finds their graves, and Roz claims reversing the merge can create anything in its wake, implying that he can bring them back. Somehow. And he also mentions bringing back his people. And I'm still stuck on what happened to them. Is he lying? Was it the merge? Was it the Forbidden Five? We need more answers. And that's not a complaint. That's just me being curious. Alright, episode 6, Fallen Wishes. Our first scene focuses on Rogue, who is being hired by Zeatrix to target Roz and bring him to her. The reason being he betrayed her family before season 1. This was when he, spoilers, killed, or at least is implied to have killed her father to bring her sister into power. Rogue agrees, and end of scene. We then cut to Aracore, who is granting wishes to rebuild Ninjago, which has come a long way from its early days of just being a little stone in a little glass container. And we get the return of Dareth the Goat, the brown ninja. He wishes that Ericor could make him like an actual master of Spinjitzu. Ericor chooses not to because he hates Peak. And here comes Rox. Cut to Team Nia. Nia and Kai are learning about Thunderfang through some ancient books in the City of Temples. And it turns out that prismatic steel, which is what the prismatic blades are made of, is actually forged in souls. Souls seem to be a motif throughout the season. Now back to Ninjago. Rox has a device that can trap Ericor, much like the Teapot of Tyron trapped Nauticon in the original series. And he outsmarts her by taunting her into wishing the ninja were there. And by granting that wish, he only brings Sora, Nia, and Ryu, as he's only met those three. I guess he doesn't consider Xanth a ninja, which I guess is fair. Cut to Roz and Aaron training. He uses the reasoning that since Wu caused the merge, he also caused Aaron's parents' death as a motivator for Aaron. And it turns out that Roz's giant hammer that he carries around everywhere is actually a dragon icon. Now, since I didn't go into detail earlier, a dragon icon is a special artifact that takes the form of a weapon, at least as far as we've seen, that can be used to bring a source dragon directly to you. And they're created either by a scale of a source dragon or by use of elemental powers. And apparently, Roz used one a long time ago to trap a source dragon, which is how Imperium was powered for a while. And to reiterate, source dragons are basically gods, which means they can be used to trick a god into being contained. At the end of Season 2, Lloyd got one from the Source Dragon of Motion, and here we learn that Roz's hammer is the dragon icon for the Source Dragon of Strength. Now, could this be his master? His master has not been revealed yet, but if he has the dragon icon for the Source Dragon of Strength, he either stole it, or maybe his master had it before him, or the Source Dragon of Strength is his master. Who knows? Back to Ninjago. Sora and Nia make small wishes to combat against Rox and her crew. The reason they can only do small wishes is because Ericor is tired. And I forgot he can understand dragon, because Ryu can also make wishes, and he does not speak person. He just goes, Rah! And through their wishes, they disfigured 2 Dragonians. Let it be remembered that Dragonians are usually good guys and they're just brainwashed by Thunderfang. One has his head turned backwards and the other has his bones made of jelly now. Are they just permanently disfigured? I mean, Rox undoes her wish, well, the wish of having her feet stick to the ground, by just doing Shatter Spin, but that's like a pretty simple wish to work around. Whatever the case, Rox traps Ericor in her little pyramid thingy, and she makes him repair the blade. In the meantime, she also freezes Nia and Sora and makes them grovel and admit defeat. She's very much a gremlin, and I kinda like that, but yeah, she's petty as hell, man. While she's having her little fun time, Sora is able to use her tech power to free Ericor, but Rox escapes with the blade anyway. Sora and Nia wish to be teleported back with their groups, and cut to Aaron and Roz, who set out for the Temple of the Dragon Cores. Episode 7, Their Draconic Majesty's Request. We start off with Rocks breaking the third chain. There are two left. We get a Pixane scene, then reunite with Team Nia and Team Lloyd. And freaking Zane, man, I got swole for buffness, which could be a funny, haha, Zane doesn't get social norms joke. But then he expands on it by saying Nindroids do not build muscle, hence the humor. Amusing. You see how many times he could just either have others acknowledge his alien language or learn when to end the joke. I'm repeating myself too much. I really do like Zane, but after years of having him just be the robot character, we need to have him do something, man. Lloyd and Kai both try to break their prismatic blade, but it doesn't work. Which brings into question, how did Zeatrix break one when she attacked Lloyd? Is she just that strong? Was that blade just really weak? We cut to Wildfire's little side story of caring for Roby, which is not that interesting, but she gets a mech. Back to Roz and Aaron. Everything that Jay Walker learned in the administration, Roz apparently knows. Aaron is questioning whether reversing the merge could really resurrect his parents, and he also has doubts whether or not they're dead, considering he saw them in the merge quakes. Back in season 1, he got a glimpse of them in the flesh during the merge quakes. Maybe they died shortly after using the dragon cores? Who knows? But no time to question things because here comes Rogue with a glider and bombs. That's right, he's attacking Roz and Aaron. And he also has a mech. And this brings into question, did he make these himself? We'll get back to this in a bit, because if he did, this could be huge for his character. He also sports some kind of lightning daggers. I wonder who he could be. He causes Roz's jet to crash land in the jungle, and he gets one shot by Roz with his dragon icon midair. Aaron, who is still trying to fly the jet, is saved by the mountain dragons, who are Ryu's family, and he is brought back to their home and reunites with the baby matriarch. Leafblade is a representative of the matriarch until she is of age. So Leafblade is basically Yzma from Emperor's New Groove, except he's actually a chill guy. The dragons call Aaron a hero, and he kind of tries to be humble about this because, it wasn't all him. But regardless, they go back and save Roz, and Aaron finds Rogue's glider and starts using it. In the meantime, Zane and Pixel have now found a way to track the final blade. Roz and Aaron make their way to the Temple of the Dragon Cores, and Roz beheads the statue of the first Spinjitzu master. Here it is revealed by the temple spirit that a dragon icon is almost as strong as a dragon core, which the fact that they're mentioning this means it's probably going to be important. Roz uses his own dragon icon to almost kill the spirit of the temple to force him to reveal how to make more of them, and he actually spills. Apparently it's in the underworld, a casket of bones and Forge of the Forgotten, which means we get more underworld after 14 years. Yes, the last time we've spent any time in the underworld was back in the pilot season, back in 2011. Sure, we've seen skeletons from the underworld in early Ninjago, but even those have gone away for the most part. The mountain dragons confront Roz and Aaron because Roz has hunted down plenty of dragons in his time. Aaron flies away with Roz, and it becomes a chase rather than a fight. Roz states that strength attracts challenge, and Aaron hopes that they are not found. And the next second, the ninja come along and find Aaron. Alright, we're up to episode 8, Crashing Together. We start off with a flashback to Anna in the crossroads, before she took on the name Sora, reminiscing on her backstory in Imperium. Anna steals a fruit and is hunted down. Then she runs into Aaron during a pie run, and he hides her behind his massive stack of pies. When they introduce themselves, that's when she decides to call herself Sora, and they become friends. Back to present day, tension is thick in the jungle, as the ninja have just found out that Roz is Aaron's teacher. And Roz and the ninja team do not get each other. He's been like the most consistently evil dude in Dragon's Rising. But back to a flashback. Sora finds her headphones, the ones with the cat ears that made everyone think she was or at least made me think that she was a formling when her design was introduced. We also learned that Sora was the one that made Aaron's grapple gun, which has been a staple of the series. Also, Aaron specifically calls the ninja Masters of Spinjitzu, which Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu mentioned. What the f is a bad show? So Sora fixes an oven for Aaron to make his pies in, and when it fails, it sets his recipes on fire, which he promptly puts out, but not before saying this was all a mistake, hurting Sora's feelings, making her think that Aaron's mad at her, and she leaves. Back in present day, Freck and Aaron have it's not even a fight, it's just Aaron whooping him one time. It lasts like 2 seconds and shows the difference in skill between Aaron and Freck. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Rogue takes Roz. That's right, Sky Bounty Hunter. Back to Flashback Land. A group of skeletons human traffic Sora. For what, you may ask? Well, to work in the mines, which may be a problem for some, but I am Steve. Back to present day, we have 2 groups. One group is Team Lloyd, and the other one is Team Aaron. Team Aaron goes chasing down Rogue. Meanwhile, Team Lloyd is facing a different problem. Drix the Bugman of the Forbidden Five. And let me just say, this man is so much more useful than Zarked. I mean, you would expect a Bugman to be, kind of weak, considering he's not even just like a giant bug. No, he's made of bugs. But somehow he's able to outmaneuver all of Team Lloyd and get their blade. Meanwhile, Zark couldn't do Jack Sparrow. Back to flashback. Aaron uses a shortcut to catch up to the truck that's carrying Sora. He grapples onto it, and they make up while in the cage. Back to present time. Aaron steals one of the lightning daggers from Rogue. So during the chase, Rogue almost kills him. Thankfully, Sora's there to save the day. However, he's still falling. So Sora decides to take a page out of Aaron's book and grapples him, while falling nonetheless. Kind of like Spider-Man, except Aaron doesn't die. So the two have an awkward but sweet reunion. Aaron reveals that his parents are dead, and Sora comforts him while they're dangling from a tree. In the meantime, Drake swoops in and takes Roz's blade as well. This man has been carrying the Forbidden Five. To not dwell on this too much, let's just move on to episode 9, Chaos Unchained. So we start episode 9 with Thunderfang being excited to finally rise. Thunderfang the dragon will rise. Absolute cinema. Cut to the jungle, and Aaron blames Master Wu for his parents being dead. Lloyd assumes that he had a good reason to do so, well, to cause the merge, and Aaron justifiably says no reason is good enough for his family to die. Despite this, Aaron is willing to work with the ninja to fight the Forbidden Five and Thunderfang. So it's not like he completely cut ties with them. Afterward, Lloyd finds a way to outspeed Drix through using the portal network. Back on the wildfire side story, one of the tiny dragons from the City of Temples uses some kind of rainbow power to heal Hermes, which gives Wildfire an idea to do something similar with Roby. She uses her heat power to make an artificial fever, somehow undecaying him, though I'm unsure if it's because it was heat or because it was an elemental power. Either way, we cut to Mr. Frohickey, keeper of the monastery, the goat, Mr. Frogman. He is cleaning the monastery while the ninja arrive through the portal. They take a short time to rest and prepare. Meanwhile, Sora and Aaron actually start reconciling. Sora states how she's glad Aaron's back, to which Aaron retorts that he isn't back. How he can't stand being there now that he knows that Master Wu caused the merge. Sora then tries to apologize to Aaron for tricking him into thinking he actually pulled off Object Spinjitzu, when in reality, it was her using her tech power. However, Aaron stops her from fully apologizing, and apologizes himself. He goes on about how he overreacted. He then goes on to tell Sora about what Roz has taught him, namely turning anger and hate into strength. And quick side note, I wonder if they'll ever touch on the fact that Aaron's Spinjitzu has a little red streak. Like, is that elements of Shatterspin? Like, obviously not Shatterspin itself, because you need to be an elemental master to do that. And it also either takes the Gong of Shattering or training specifically to use Shatterspin. So it's not actually that. But maybe the obsession with strength might be hinting towards that. Anyway, Sora assures him that that's not who he is. His power comes from his hope and his kindness. They meet back at the portal, and they manage to open the gateway to the First Realm Monastery. They make their way to this giant storm, and Freck and Aaron actually have a moment where they show how they both changed, with Freck having learned from the ninja, and Aaron having learned from Roz, the opposite of what they were in Season 2. Since they used the portal, they were actually able to ambush Drix, who was coming back with the final 2 blades. And he was thoroughly confused, because I don't think he knows about the portals. And during this battle between Team Drix and Team Lloyd, we actually get to see Sora and Aaron working together for the first time since, I guess, the Blood Moon ritual. Because Aaron didn't actually compete in the Tournament of the Sources, he was just kind of there, doing his detective work. So we love to see that. Meanwhile, Kai tries to do Spinjitzu and finds out that it looks weird, it looks different. Lloyd mentions that it's a first land thing, and that he'll get used to it, which I really want to know how Spinjitzu works in the first land. Like, they make a point to point out that it's different. So I wonder if they're gonna do anything with it in Season 3, Part 2. Another thing that surprised me was that Zane can understand Ryu. Since when can he speak dragon? I mean, I guess it makes sense that spending enough time with Xanth and the other dragons, he would be able to pick it up. But it's not something I had considered before. Drix realizes he's outmatched and sends one of his bugs to recruit the other Forbidden Five and the rest of the Dragonians to assist him. We get a scene where Drix hands Roz over to Noct, and Noct actually lets Roz get up and get his weapon first before fighting him. His reasoning being that he wants to fight him at full strength, which, W Drix for getting his... W Drix for letting his homie get revenge. During the struggle, Aaron is actually able to get both prismatic blades, and is almost able to run away with them. However, he sees Roz in danger at the hand of Noct, and goes to help him. In the meantime, losing both of the blades, he's then sucked into the giant swirling storm, and Thunderfang is freed. Rox demands the power that Thunderfang promised them, and he states how they're kind of stupid for expecting him to actually keep up his end of the bargain, and he eats their souls. We see their lifeless bodies fall to the floor, and Rox's mask actually comes off, so we actually get a Rox face reveal. Am I kind of weird for saying she kind of bad, though? Alright, we're finally to episode 10, The Shattered Dragon. We start off by being shown a giant storm of chaos from Thunderfang being freed. And suddenly, Wildfire shows up in her mech, after 7 episodes of her doing basically nothing. Ryu is shot down by one of the Chaos Storms, and he's out of commission for a little bit. And here comes Thunderfang. Rawr! And we see that his presence is felt across the Merge Lands, from the Land of Lost Things to the City of Temples. Rogue is still trying to capture Roz despite all the storms, and here comes Aaron to save him. Meanwhile, we get to see a triple Rising Dragon technique from Lloyd, Kai, and Nia, hitting Thunderfang directly in the chest, though not doing much. It does bring to Thunderfang's attention that Lloyd is a conduit for one of the Source Dragons. He is a direct line to the Source Dragons. So naturally, Thunderfang wants to eat his soul as well. And while he's hunting Lloyd down, he goes on a rant about whose energy does he channel. He refers to the Dragon of Motion as an incessant busybody, the Dragon of Strength as self-obsessed, and that if he were the conduit for the Source Dragon of Life, that would be quite ironic, considering he's trying to kill him. And partway through the fight, we learn that Big Zane can still do Spinjitzu. I was kind of questioning whether or not he could, considering he would still need to get used to his new body, but it seems like he can do it just fine. Nia saves Rogue from one of the Dragonians, and recruits him into the fight against Thunderfang. We see Nia and Rogue fighting side by side, and Rogue does this onomatopoeia, this battle cry, that sounds quite familiar. He goes, "Wah!" Much like how a certain other blue character used to do. Meanwhile, Wildfire is taken out of commission, and Kai has to take over her mech. And when backed into a corner, Rogue uses lightning. Nia immediately puts 2 and 2 together, and figures it out. Especially after he uses a bad pun, saying, "Thought I'd lightening up the mood." That's right, Rogue is Jay, and he has been Jay this whole time. Truly one of the twists of all time. Nobody saw it coming whatsoever, especially not before the season came out. And can I say, that's why he's the GOAT. This is the most Jay has gotten since Skybound. I do not count Prime Empire because he was only the focus for the last 3 episodes. Meanwhile, back to the Thunderfang plot. He eats Lloyd's soul. He sucks it out of his body just like he did with the Forbidden Five, and Lloyd falls to the ground much like they did. However, Thunderfang mentions the fact that he works on souls, and how he's gonna devour everyone's soul and stuff, and Aaron gets an idea. He uses one of the prismatic blades, looks through it, and sees all the souls that are powering Thunderfang. He still has that jar of elixir that he used to cure Roz. He remembers that it can help souls move on, so he decides to water balloon Thunderfang and play a mean joke on him. Roz points out that Thunderfang is a moving target in a storm of chaos, and that there's no way he has enough anger for that kind of strength. And Aaron remembers Sora's words and goes, "Nah, I don't need anger. I got something better." He gets a running start, and then he does the head spin before Spinjitzu, just like Cole did in Season 8. I don't know why, but that callback in particular felt special. He musters all the power inside and all that stuff, and he successfully pulls off a Spinjitzu throw on the elixir, managing to snipe Thunderfang and free all the souls. However, the Forbidden Five, for some reason, their souls choose not to move on, instead going back to Thunderfang, who is also being forced to move on. Since Thunderfang is no longer alive, the Dragonians are free, reverting back to the kind little goobers that they were. Lloyd's soul goes back to his body. The Dragonians refer to Aaron as a hero, and Lloyd agrees with. Despite this, he still chooses to go with Roz. They still want to set out to reverse the merge, which I'm glad they did, because imagine spending all that time setting up an evil Aaron arc, only to have it last half a season. So yeah, he decides to go with Roz, but then Sora out of nowhere goes, "Together forever," and decides to join them. And I'll touch on that in a second, but Lloyd lets them go because he respects their decision and autonomy. In the aftermath of the final battle, Rogue is injured. His leg seems to be broken, or maybe his ankle sprained or something, and he is unmasked. And in the time between him leaving the Tournament of the Sources and him showing up here as Rogue, he got this Unigami Okino-a haircut with this giant freaking up knot. Anyway, he refuses to go to the monastery at first. However, even evil, he's still Jay. He still goes ow owie and all that, which is a remnant of 10-minute era Jay, who is more whiny rather than just overreacting. But even then, I still love Rogue/Jay. Back at the monastery, they learn that they have guests, including Labo and Roby. Cole is also there, and he lights up when he sees Jay. Remember, they used to be best friends in the original series, so seeing Jay obviously means a lot to him. He goes in for a hug, but Jay still has no memories of him, although he claims to have plenty of memory, just none of him. When he sits down, he also reveals that Aaron's parents are not dead. They are very much alive, and that it's weird. Which means Roz is still a lying, deceiving, conniving butthead. Part 1 ends off in the Spectral Lands, with Moro welcoming Thunderfang to the land of the dead. Some soul suckers are interested in Thunderfang. However, he doesn't let Moro take care of it, as he decides to eat them. That's right, he can still eat souls even while dead. Speaking of which, he eats Moro! Roll credits. So yeah, that was Season 3, Part 1. Overall, a good season, though I personally still enjoy Season 2 a little more. Though this may change with the second half coming in, I want to say September? I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out. To wrap up this recap with some personal thoughts, something that bothered me a little bit is, why does Sora sound higher pitched? It's like she got the Jay and Kai treatment after season 11. Nothing that won't take some getting used to, though. Second point, I love Rogue. I love that they finally have Jay doing something other than being a Nia-centric character rather than being his own thing. I cannot say the same for Zane, though. As you've probably noticed, I do not like Zane's characterization, or lack thereof. I like some of the callbacks they've done with him. However, for me, he still feels a little underdeveloped. Considering how much he was hyped with the new transformation and all on the branding and stuff, I feel like he should have gotten the Kai treatment when they made Kai goated again in seasons 1 and 2. of Dragon's Rising. Right now, he's still more of a static token robot character rather than an actual character, besides becoming Season 11J but robot with Pixel instead of Nia. And he's always the one who gets the fake out deaths, as I've mentioned earlier. Like, it was cool the first time, it was meh the other times. And now it's just gotten old. Like, we know he's not gonna die. But I will admit, Big Zane is still awesome. Next point, First Realm. I love the fact that we're going back to the First Realm. It was severely underutilized after the Oni trilogy. And same goes for the Spectral Lands, which brings back the Cursed Realm and the Departed Realm. Two realms that we haven't seen in a while, since pretty much Season 5. It also answers some of the questions I've personally had since the beginning of the series when they introduced the merge, while it's still introducing more questions, like where do they move on to? One thing I love about this season in particular is the relationships with the new characters. Like Sora and Frack's dynamic is new, it's interesting, and I generally like Frack as a character. We also get more backstory on Sora and Aaron and how they met, which is always welcome. How do I put this? I feel like the unleashing an ancient evil trope is being overused. I mean, all the way back in Season 1 of the original series, we had Pythor trying to free the Great Devourer. Then we had Garmadon freeing the Overlord in Season 2, Moro trying to free the Preeminent, or at least bringing it into Ninjago, in Season 5, then Harumi resurrecting Garmadon in Season 8, then we got Kalmar unleashing Wojira in Season 14, Roz trying to free the Forbidden Five in Season 2 of Dragon's Rising, and in Season 3, the Forbidden Five unleashing Thunderfang. Like, we're introduced to these all-powerful warriors or whatever, and instead of doing stuff on their own, they try to free a Chaos Dragon, who is very cool, but I feel like they should have done their own stuff first. And on the subject of the Forbidden Five, we finally got Kerr's gender revealed, as I stated earlier. Zark was useless, and Drix carried the team. I like that they brought back Zeatrix, though I'm wondering what she'll have to do next time we see her. Big thing with Dragon's Rising in particular that I really love is the world building. We're introduced to the Merge in Season 1, which completely changes the game, and since then, we've been able to rediscover all of the realms while discovering some new ones. I can't wait to see what they do with the Underworld after 14 years of not using it. A complaint I have is how Wildfire's storyline was kind of unnecessary. I mean, Kerr decays Roby, and they spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to reverse it. Maybe this will become relevant later? I don't know. But for now, it just feels like wasted time. Or filler, maybe. And on to the big bad of Dragon's Rising, Roz. How much of what he says is true? What happened to his people? And how did he meet his master? And who is his master? How did he get the dragon icon? Is his master the Source Dragon of Strength? Did he steal it? I'm really excited to see what they do with Roz, because he's been set up throughout the entire Dragon's Rising series. And with that, I hope you've all enjoyed this rambling recap of Ninjago Dragon's Rising Season 3, Part 1. And hopefully, I will have completed my drawing by now. If you'd like me to make more Ninjago-related content, please let me know, because I'd love to cover it from start to finish, and maybe even include some content over the comics, which I have not read any of those, so it can be a neat experience. Please feel free to leave any thoughts, concerns, or suggestions and get a discussion going. I'd love to hear what you have to say. This has been Bonehead Spectre, signing off.